Ladies and gents, this is how insane monks can be in Baldur's Gate 3. You can deal hundreds of damage easily every turn, get a ton of actions, move over the battlefield with absolute ease, and not just that, have a ton of survivability with the proper multi-class setup. Now, because having a lot of actions every turn is so OP in this game, we're going to try to create a build that absolutely abuses that to the maximum and give us up to 9 attacks every single turn. So this is going to include 2 main actions plus a bonus attack, and then 3 bonus actions which are going to be used to cast abilities that perform 2 attacks per each bonus action. So that's 9 in total, or at least 200 to 250 damage for a very unoptimized version of the build, or up to like 300 plus if you really go in, get all the extra points from the story and other bonus attacks that you can get depending on your choices. So let's go over the setup. We're primarily using Monk and Rogue here, but also adding 2 more levels for the fighter. Now, if you're freshly starting out a character and want a bit more AC from the starting levels and like just have a bit more survivability, you can have your first level in the fighter class so that you can gain that heavy armor and shield proficiency. This is useful early on because you don't have the items from Act 3, which bypass that and give you a ton more AC without needing to use heavy armor. So until then, use that as your first investment. However, for us, we're going to start with the monk since we are already in Act 3. For the starting abilities, these are the most important, including strength and wisdom, which we're going to try to buff as much as possible. Reason we're going strength is because of a very special feat called Tavern Brawler. This feat right here is absolutely insane right now because it adds your strength modifier twice to the damage and attack rolls that you do with any unarmed attacks, improvised weapons, or thrown attacks, which is going to skyrocket that damage and let you reach these really crazy levels. And since you have so many attacks as an unarmed monk, you're going to benefit from this on each and every single one of them. The second important stat here is going to be wisdom, and specifically because there is a certain pair of feat items at the start of Act 3 which is going to further add a wisdom modifier to your attack rolls. We're gonna try to reach at least 20 with this in the end game. Now, for the remaining couple of points, we have constitution and dexterity. Most people would completely dump dexterity for this build because, well, it's no longer needed, and would just invest the points into constitution to get a bit more on that survivability. However, if you're in Act 3, you no longer need constitution because there is an item that just raises that to 23. So because I don't really want to sacrifice my initiative, I will still put some points into dexterity. I think initiative is still very important in general use gameplay. So this is my setup. Early on, you can go the other way around. Now, from this point on, we're gonna have level 2, and we're gonna just continue up until we reach level 6 with the monk class. In this case, at around level 3 is when we're going to choose our subclass, and this is going to be way of the open hand. This is what's going to provide us the flurry of blows, which is essentially 2 attacks, and it's also on a bonus action. So this is going to be important to deal that high damage on the multitude of bonus actions that we have. At Monk level 4, we're gonna pick the Tavern Brawler feat. This is also going to let us invest 1 more point in the strength, so this is going to reach 18 right away if we started with 17, like how I just told you, plus the double strength modifier over there for our attacks. At level 5, we also get the very useful extra attack, and finally level 6 is where we kinda cap out with everything we need from the monk class, including the manifestations for the extra damage like psychic, necrotic, or radiant, depending which one we toggle, and even more important, the wholeness of body, which is going to be another way to add another action on top for about 3 turns. From here is when we switch to the rogue class, and we're gonna go with up to 4 levels in it. Essentially, at level 3 we get the thief subclass, which is going to give us the fast hands perk for an additional bonus action. This is going to be very important to cast another instance of flurry of blows, and at level 4 with this we're gonna get access to the second feat. In this case, it depends a bit what you picked prior in the story. So if you already reach 20 with strength, which in this case could be from the Mirror of Loss, the Hag Hair, plus the potion, the blood potion that you get in Act 2, you are already at 22, so that should be enough, and you can go with the wisdom. Otherwise, you can just pump those points into strength and just leave it at that, and maybe do that in the next playthrough. The last couple of points are going to be in the fighter class. Again, if you're just starting out and didn't reach Act 3 just yet, you should start with fighter as a first level so that you can get that heavy armor proficiency. Or if you're just going to equip heavy armors anyway and continue with that, you also gain another AC from the defensive perk at the first level and can more easily reach 21 AC, but with heavy armor, so you are making a small compromise over there. However, for me, I'm just gonna keep it like that. Most important, level 2, we're gonna get Action Surge, and this provides us another action for one turn, but it is going to be on a long rest. It doesn't matter, however, because this build is going to still make rounds around the enemies before they even get to touch you if they survive that to begin with. Now, going over the items for the mask, we're going with the Soul Perception. You get this on the second level in the House of Hope in one of those ornate chests on a small table. So this gives you +2 bonus to attack rolls and also to initiative rolls and perception checks, which I think is pretty good. There is an alternative to this, but I don't really like it. It's called the Helmet of Grit, and this would provide you another bonus action, so you would have 4 in total, but you have to be under 50% HP. I found that's a bit too risky. It could work with the AC I have, but I just don't want to play like that. I'm not in Fight Club or anything, so I just want to go like normal gameplay and that's it. The second one is the Cloak of Displacement. This is from a vendor in Act 2, and this forces disadvantage on attack rolls that enemies make against you at the start of every turn. So this synergizes very well with the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation and especially that second passive over there, which gives you a reaction to make an unarmed strike against a target that misses you. So the Cloak forces the miss, this provides the reaction, and your unarmed attack of course benefits from everything that makes this build work, so you can easily deal like 30, 40, 50 damage just as a reaction every single turn. So that's actually quite insane. However, this would mean sacrificing some of your AC and only being capable to reach about 18 or 19 depending on your choices. So you can sacrifice that and instead go with the Hell Dusk armor. This is what my build currently looks like, and that is because this lets me push 25 AC. The next piece is the Gloves of Soul Catching, this as well as the legendary Hell Dusk you get from the House of Hope, and I already covered that in a previous video, but this is what adds another 1 to 10 points of bludgeoning damage to all our unarmed attacks, and since we have a ton of those, we're gonna heavily benefit from those extra damage points. Plus we get some healing incorporated here, even an advantage on attack rolls, which I think is really nice. Then we have the Boots of Uninhibited Kushigo. This is what makes our damage to also further benefit or scale with our Wisdom modifier. So we benefit both from Strength and the Wisdom, buff the damage of our unarmed attacks. This is what you get at, I believe, end of Act 2, start of Act 3 when certain monks will attack you. So just keep that in mind. Now, in terms of our weapons, we're not going to use anything as our melee weapon because we're going to use unarmed attacks with this one. However, I did add a shield for the +2 into AC, making me reach easy 25. I could even reach 26 if I got the +3 that I placed on Shadowheart, but it's good for now. Nothing can touch me, or if they do, they rarely do so. As far as a ranged weapon, we do use that, but only because it gives us the haste. So we can go with a Darkfire short bow, which is acquired in Act 1, and this gives you a haste as a spell that you can use, which I think is really awesome. It just consumes an action, so no spell slots in there, and this is going to add that extra action every single turn. You will always use this before the fight and have it for 10 whole turns, which I think is really awesome. And of course, in terms of the jewelry, we have the one that gives us 23 constitution. This is why we dumped that. But having 23 constitution means we get a ton of HP, essentially double from about 75 to 130 plus. We could even combine this with one level of barbarian and essentially get that bonus from constitution into AC that it already starts with at level 1. Outside of that, I'm just using Ring of Protection. This is also from Act 1, gives +1 AC, so total 25. I think this is extremely good. You have tankiness, very good damage, lots of actions, lots of movement, and you're not really sacrificing much. We can take down the shield, by the way, if you do want to not lose on movement speed during turns. So just to show you how this works, we're gonna precast Haste and then Wholeness of Body, which one gives us an extra action, and then the second one is going to give us an extra bonus action. So this is going to be 3 plus 6 equals 9 attacks, and then we're gonna get that action surge for the 10th attack, and action surge also gives us another extra attack on top, so that's going to be 11 attacks in total in one single turn. So that's what I call balance. But going over this enemy, let me show you exactly what I mean by 11 attacks. So we go against this one, do one attack. This is going to use one of our actions. The next one is going to be using our extra attack that we got from the level 5 of the monk. So we're going to consume that instead. Then we're going to still have one action that we can use just with the unarmed strike. We're going to do that once more. And this already lets us do one more before we move over to the next one. So in this case, we can just switch up to maybe like the flurry of attacks and take down the enemy. So that's 1, 2, 3 plus the 2. That's already 5 attacks right from these. So we can now move to the other ones because we haven't even consumed our movement. So the next enemy, we're going to continue doing a flurry. That's going to go down. And once we're done, we're going to just use another action surge. We get another action, bam with a strike. And because we gain an extra attack from that too, we're going to use that again. So that's a lot of attacks. I kind of lost count over there, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Now, because we have the highest movement speed in the entire game, we can then just, well, take our speed car and go onto the other side of the map and just let everybody else consume their actions to dash towards you and, well, just stay there like sitting targets, because the next turn, you guessed it, you have even more attacks. So you can just jump back in, do another like 9, 10, 11 attacks in a row, take down a bunch of enemies, then run on the other side of the map and just like make circles around them as they're losing their minds trying to reach you. And if anything even touches you, you have so much AC that you can survive through almost everything. Melee especially is not going to be a problem. Everything is going to miss almost all the time. The only slight problem here might be the magic attacks. That's about it, but only assuming that it's a debuff and you kind of fit certain conditions. Now, obviously, there are variations to this build as well. You could go 8-4, for example, just dump all the points from the fighter and instead put the remaining ones into monk, go level 8 with it and gain a bunch of other abilities in there. Most important, you're going to get those key points, and this is going to help you to spam your flurry of attacks a bit more often so that they don't get consumed in the same fight. Otherwise, you could also sacrifice the couple last points or maybe even just one of them for a barbarian class and just have those extra points in AC from the constitution that you get. This could be done maybe early in the game because you could use constitution and funnel that into your AC somewhat. Though I'm not sure it's going to be better than just going unarmored and having the wisdom bumped up, which is going to also benefit that. I didn't test that yet. I only went with these two setups right here. The one that started with a fighter and the one that had it as the last one. Both of them work just fine and you're not sacrificing too much in terms of either damage or defenses. Though this one that we're using here with 6, 4, 2 is the best in my opinion because you have that super high AC that makes you survive for so long. You really don't want to be a sitting duck, at least that's my opinion. Anyway, that is about it with the video. Totally let me know down below what you think about it. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.